beautiful relationship is all about understanding each other's importance, treating them with respect, caring about each other, and building strong rapport by putting tiny steps towards each other. This is our third episode of the Being Unique podcast. So episode 3 is all about taking care of the relationship and that special person so that it lasts forever and beyond. And we will address about some of the biggest culprits which later becomes the number one reason of sinking many well-established relationships. Today, I just can't wait to share about it and I'm super excited. Welcome guys to the Being Unique podcast. My name is Jaison Jose and I am the host of this show. Each week I come up with new and exciting podcast where we will be covering some of your favorite topics like communication, mindset, philosophy and much more awesome content which will definitely help you realize your highest potential. For this particular podcast, I've already written an article on this. If you would like to read it along, I've added a link in the description below. In this episode, we will discuss the topic of nurturing that very special relationship that you are currently in or the one that you will be in very soon. Because that special person is out there somewhere living the moments and the memories that he or she will be sharing with you one day or very soon. So without any further ado, let's begin. Being in a relationship is the most beautiful experience of one's life. But if we do not take care of it, we have to go through the darkest days of our life. In this podcast, I would like to share with you guys some of the most stupid mistakes that people make and ruin the once so-called beautiful bond that they created with so many efforts from either side. There is a long list of stupid things that people do to ruin that bond. First and foremost, the biggest blunder a person does is lack of communication. It leads to lack of connection, which leads to no vibes, which leads to lack of trust, which leads to insecurity, which leads to arguments, which leads to heartbreak, which leads to pain and suffering, and which leads to feeling that you are the only one in the relationship, and eventually it leads to the end of the relationship. It is a vicious cycle of sabotaging the relationship that starts with a lack of communication. Thus, communication is the ultimate key. Getting into a relationship too early without knowing if it's a crush, lust, or love is very dangerous. It is very easy to find that bond with someone. You like each other, there is a chemical reaction in your brain, you are attached towards each other both mentally and physically, your vibes resonate perfectly, but maintaining that pure love is the most difficult part. Not all people are capable to do that. After a while, unfortunately, sometimes it fades away from one side and leaves the other person heartbroken for life because initially they thought it was love, but it turned out to be just a crush or a lust, and it eventually fades away after 4 to 6 months. A beautiful relationship is all about understanding each other's importance, treating them with respect, caring about each other, and building strong rapport by putting tiny steps towards each other. But what most couples do is blame too much on each other and sort out too little. This creates a chaotic relationship and it starts running on fumes, which won't last long if proper actions are not taken immediately. And the sad reality is, giving up on each other seems easier than putting efforts into staying together. Showing your partner inferiority can never lead you to a promising relationship. One should always look at their relationship as if they are on the same side of a coin. No judgment, no lies with each other, and most importantly, never break the trust of one another. Because just as we need to pedal on both the sides of a bicycle for it to run smoothly, there needs to be equal efforts put by either of the partners. However, reacting too much to tiny things, not appreciating the little efforts that your partner puts in just to see a small smile, making them feel taken for granted and showing them that they are not on your priority list when the times are bad, are some of the biggest blunders one could do to ruin a well-established relationship. To end this topic, you don't have to cheat with your partner to break their heart. You can do these small, stupid and dumb blunders, starting from lack of communication to making them feel taken for granted, to ruin the relationship. If you don't want that with yours, just follow as the adage says. Take care of things and people that you really love, and they will last forever. If you don't, it will perish inevitably. My personal favorite takeaway from this episode is, there needs to be equal efforts put by either of the partners. Reacting too much to tiny things, not appreciating the little efforts that your partner puts in just to see a small smile, making them feel taken for granted and showing them that they are not on your priority list when the times are bad, are some of the biggest blunders one could do to ruin a well-established relationship. Thank you very much, guys, for listening to this episode of the Being Unique podcast. I really appreciate that you spent your valuable time listening to this. If you like what you heard, you can subscribe to this show wherever you're getting this podcast from. I hope you learned something or got some inspiration. If you did, do let me know your biggest takeaway from this episode on my social media accounts at @IM_Jaison Jose. Thank you so much, guys, once again for tuning in. I'll catch you up in the next episode. Now go out there and do something unique.